Moog recreates one of their classic synths for iOS, Nektar announces a new piece of hardware for performers, and DJ Tech Tools announces a new series for their Chroma Cables line. Find out more coming up. Thank you for watching PDot TV, where you'll find tips, tricks, and tutorials for DJs and music performers. Now let's get into the video. So the first synthesizer to come to mind for many producers when you say the word Moog has to be the Model D. And Moog has just released a recreation of their Model D for iOS. Now, on top of all the functions of the Model D, and these are dialed in to be, as accurate as possible from the actual hardware to this new iOS recreation, they've added some really cool new features, which includes 4-note polyphony with a chord mode, a new arpeggiator, and 2 new effects. You get a tempo synced stereo ping pong effect, as well as a bender effect that adds some modulation to the Model D. Now, along with being an iOS recreation of this classic synth, you do get all those nice features that iOS does provide for synthesizers on the platform. You can now use Moog's new iOS recreation of the Model D in other iOS apps such as GarageBand, which means you can get a nice featured sequencer to use with this fully featured and really authentic sounding synthesizer. And the best part of this new recreation of the Model D, in my opinion, has to be the price. You can now get an authentic sounding Moog Model D for $5. That is a steal to get this kind of sound and this authenticity of the synthesizer for that price. From the hardware being over $1,000 to having an app that can recreate a lot of the sounds that the hardware can recreate for less than $10, even half at that, is a steal in my opinion. And even if you're not really heavy into synthesis and you want something that you can mess with, this is definitely something you should take a look at. In the past, hardware manufacturer Nektar was known for their keyboards that were natively mapped to propeller heads Reason, and then later on mapped to other DAWs as well. But now they're back with a brand new piece of hardware they're calling the Nektar Pacer. Now what this is a set of foot pedals that can be MIDI mapped to things like transport controls in your DAW, or to functions in a VST, or even to trigger other MIDI devices that aren't hooked up to your computer. Now this piece of hardware might not be for everybody, but for live performers, I could see where this could really come in handy, especially for people that are using multiple pieces of hardware such as Novation Circuit, with Ableton running a launchpad where you're using both hands at the same time and you still need to get to other functions. One thing that's really underutilized, just because there aren't many devices that can do it, is using your feet to control your DAW or other functions. And with this piece of hardware, you get 10 different pedals you can control, as well as another pedal that can, tab through different settings or different presets, which is really nice, as well as an encoder that can be moved as well as pushed in as well. So that's a lot of control that can be used with your feet when your 2 hands are busy doing other things when you're live performing. And finally, DJ Tech Tools has added a new series of products to their Chroma Cables lineup. In the past, Chroma Cables were just really nice USB cables that came in a bunch of colors and were really well made specifically for DJs. I know a lot of DJs out there that would use any USB cables they would find at their house or wherever, be it printer cables or whatever, and Chroma Cables really changed the game. Not only were they decently priced, but they had a nice set of features that really made them really nice to use for DJs and performers. And this new lineup is no different. Now with the USB cables covered, it made sense for Chroma Cables to now come in audio cables as well. So you get an RCA to RCA cable, as well as a 1/4 inch TRS to 1/4 inch TRS cable, and a nice RCA to 1/4 inch TRS cable. These are 3 of the most frequently used cables for DJs and producers out there and music performers, so it made sense for DJ Tech Tools to start with these. Just like their USB cable counterparts, these audio cables have some nice features for DJs and performers out there. First off, the build quality is top notch. They're made of that same nice feeling high quality material, and the connectors at each end are made really well. I like these, they're really chunky, which will be easy to plug in and easy to pull, and they look to feel really high quality as well. You get gold-plated connectors on all 3 of these cables, so be it RCA, 1/4 inch, or that combo connector, the connectors are gold-plated, which means a less chance for audio issues because of the higher quality connection. One really cool feature that I really haven't seen on any other audio cables that's included in these Chroma Cable audio cables is this strain relief feature, which means if you've ever had a stereo pair of cables where they're connected but the 2 ends are kind of loose, if you've had lower quality cables like stuff you would find at Guitar Center or stuff like that, eventually that connection starts to peel back and you lose that nice quality, stereo pair of a cable, and it eventually tear apart and just become one cable. But with this new strain relief feature, you can adjust the length of how big you want that split to be, or you can close them up and put them right together if you don't need that different separation and you don't need that distance, which is really nice because say you need to hook up something like 2 monitor speakers and you need a bigger distance between those 2 reliefs, or if you need to hook up something that's really close together like outputs from your DJ controller, you can tighten that back up so you don't have that slack in between it, which makes it really easier to clean up and really easier to just bundle up and look a lot neater in your setup. And of course, another signature feature of these Chroma cables is a built-in cable tie, which definitely comes in handy. I know I've had to go out to the store or on Amazon and buy a bunch of these cable ties, and it's just another added expense. But in these Chroma cables, it's already added and just really nice to have. It's nice, it's white, it's really easy to see, so you're not searching through the cable to find it, so you can unwrap it and rewrap it. And just overall, a nice little detail that makes these Chroma cables way worth the money. So if you're in the market for some cables or needing some higher quality cables, I know one thing, especially if you're using an external Serato box just like this SL3 or SL4, really crappy quality RCA cables can be the cause of a lot of issues. So if you start off with a high quality cable, you can cut all of that out and cut that headache straight out, and these Chroma cables definitely provide on that front. So that's it for the news this week. So question of the day, do these new Chroma cables interest you? Go link that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, if you found this video useful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click right here to subscribe to this channel. Or if you'd like to watch more content, go ahead and click on that video right there. And thank you for watching PDot TV, where you'll find tips, tricks, and tutorials for DJs and music performers. See you next time.